Hi, y'all. So for this week, you're gonna see this week and next week, you're gonna see our guest host, my one of my best friends, Michael Wulff. He is gonna be on here talking about Your Lie in April with us. We apologize for the random hiatus we took on the show. It started with I was really sick and had a lot of complications with my doctor and some crazy things. The world fell apart and Roe v. Wade got reversed or put down to the states, and we live in Texas, so not great. And then Lauren got sick. So it's been chaos. So we called in the big guns, Michael, who has seen all of Your Lie in April and is fantastic. He streams on Twitch. If you ever want to watch him play some video games, and I think he watches anime on there sometimes too. But he's amazing. So just so you know, we are alive, and you'll be hearing from our great friend Michael. So keep an eye out, and Lauren will be back in about 2 weeks. Thanks, y'all. Hi, everyone. So, Lauren is out sick. So we did something fun, and I called one of my best friends, and everybody meet Michael.
Hi.
You've heard us talk
Hello.
about Michael a lot on the show because he's the Weeb King. It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
I mean,
We've seen your pictures on Twitter.
yeah.
Michael, tell us about yourself.
Well, hi, I'm Michael. I am a massive weeb. I always have like the worm in Bridget's ear.
Yes.
Watch this. Do it. And then I get mad when she does it and she says I didn't like it.
This seems to be the story with all my anime friends. I'm like, that wasn't very good. I didn't like that.
I've been watching anime like really as long as I can remember. I mean, I don't like to sit there and say that my first anime was Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z just because like I feel like it counts, but like it doesn't count because
Don't you
like
bash Pokemon on this show.
I'm not bashing Pokemon, but I'm just like saying, like I feel like everybody in America,
it's the gateway though. It's the gateway anime.
Watched it, and it's like you didn't realize what you were watching until like you knew what anime was, right?
For sure.
So I would stay up until like 3 a.m. waiting for Cowboy Bebop to come on Toonami. I would have to pretend to be asleep and all that stuff. And now here I am, and I watched too much of it for my own good.
You dress up. I've seen pictures.
Sometimes, yeah, I do.
What would you say is your like favorite anime right now? I know it changes. It's rotating all the time.
I mean, like, I'm a massive JoJo's bro. I will forever be a JoJo bro.
You JoJo pose at Disney World. You JoJo pose in your bathroom.
I do.
I've seen you JoJo pose everywhere. No places.
Yes, it's kind of like a rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
But like right now, I've been shotgunning Bleach and Naruto because I never watched them, and I always thought I was too cool for them. And now I'm realizing.
Do not say Naruto spoilers. I'm
no spoilers. But if I had to pick like a favorite show in general right now, it's Spy Family, just because it's like it makes me laugh. I will say an anime is funny even if I've never laughed out loud, because like I don't think you have to laugh out loud for something to be funny, right?
Yeah.
Kaguya-sama is a great example. I think the show's hilarious, but I don't always laugh out loud at it. Spy Family will 10 out of 10 times make me laugh from start to finish out loud every single episode. And it just makes me feel good. So Spy Family is probably like the favorite right now.
I need to watch it. I just talked to someone today about it. But we need to introduce our guest host.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll definitely make herself known. She's now trying to make sure that she has my complete and undivided attention because of she
it's
knows
toy
that
time.
I'm filming. Yeah, it's toy time. There's like 4 different toys at my feet.
We traded little tiny Chihuahua wiener dogs of Lawrence for a giant dog. I love Shion, but man, does she have this habit of just punching me in the boob. So you had just gone to bed. Ryan had just gotten home. In the face too, yeah. And I was sitting on the bed in the living room. I was at Ryan and Michael's house this weekend, and Ryan was sitting on the floor, and I go, I need you to talk to your daughter about punching me in the boob with her paw. I was like, we'll be completely calm. And then all of a sudden she'll just look at me and just like, she shoves that paw out. And as I said it, like, didn't miss her cue. She was like asleep next to me. And then she just sat her head up and did it right as I told Ryan. And I was like, see? He goes, I've never seen her do that. It's like, he has this habit. She's like a mean girl. She's the Regina George to me right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's see. Yep.
Look at the angel.
Yeah. It's her Jurassic Park toy. It's
it's the mosquito.
It's the mosquito and the amber. Yeah.
That's cute. Is that like from BarkBox or something?
Yep.
Looks like a BarkBox toy. It's
cute.
It's cute. Okay. So you ready to get into your feels? Like I feel bad. I feel bad for like, hey, you want a guest host? By the way, we're gonna start with the saddest stuff in the world, and not even like the pretty beginning of the show. We're just going right into the meat and potatoes of depression.
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage. All we do is talk in TikToks, and it's great. All right, here we go. Episode 17, Twilight. I'm gonna explain it. Feel free to interject with feeling, thoughts, crying, tears, yelling, whatever you need. So we start this episode with her saying, you want to kill yourself with me? So we're just starting on a high note right now. And she goes, I didn't mean it. And she definitely meant it. Like, she was like, if you were down for a suicide pact, we would do it. And it's really upsetting. And poor Kosei is just standing there like, like, I mean, he's traumatized anyway. Poor
his whole life is trauma.
His whole life is pure trauma. And where's his dad? Where's his dad? His dad's hanging out with Midoriya's dad somewhere, wherever they may be. Absent fathers. I don't know. Apparently that's a thing. So Kosei leaves piano lessons early. He can't seem to find any joy. Nagi wants to learn piano to help Takashi beat Kosei, but then and kind of get Takashi to like have the fire lit under him, but also pay attention to her. But she says if he's too depressed, Kosei, and Takashi wins, because of that, it's not going to count. Takashi's not going to count it as a win. So Kosei here's the song that was written, and I think it's the song for Princess Diana, because they talk about it being for a princess who died, and I only can assume it's Princess Diana because that's the only princess who died that I feel
or
like
the only notable one, at least.
Yeah. And he freaks out because it makes him think of Kaori and his mom. So Kosei finally lets out all of his emotions and breaks down to Watsuri and says he needs, and Watsuri tells him, hey, I know this might be difficult. I know it's going to be tough, but you need to see Kaori. You cannot keep putting it off. And she needs to see him because he's the one that she leans on, whether he realizes it or not. And so Kosei finally brings the cannolis, the little pastries, to Kaori. So she tells him, if this is too much, if this is too upsetting, and if she dies, you can just press the reset button in your mind and just forget about me. And that is like maybe one of the most depressing things I've heard someone say. Like, just, it's okay. Forget about me when I die if this is too much for you. Like, that's like the opposite of what we want. We want people to remember us, but we're also not dying of mysterious illness, which I'll say at the end of the next episode what it is. I finally figured out what the illness was. Thanks, anime chat rooms.
Yeah, so it's a really funny thing, and you'll notice this if you ever venture into more sad, depressing anime. A lot of times when people are sick and dying, they make it there's a habit of not always explicitly saying
that's really interesting.
What the thing is. It's not like A Walk to Remember where it's like cancer. Like
that's what I've compared this show the whole time.
It's explicitly
like,
cancer, but like for something like Your Lie in April or a lot of other anime that revolve around people being sick, they tend to leave it like a mystery.
Is there a lot of anime that does that?
Oh, girl, there's a movie called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
Stop. What?
That is legitimately what it's called.
Titles sometimes really bother me because the show will be great, and then you're like, this one time I was in a dungeon and hit on a girl, and I was like, what?
Well, I mean, the whole light novels in general, the title of the story is a synopsis of the story.
Yeah.
And it is a joke. It's she is seriously
gonna crawl over you.
It is 100% because she knows that I'm doing this right now.
Yeah.
And she acts like I've not shown her any love.
She's like,
all
Dad,
day.
Pay attention to me.
Right. I know what she wants. She wants the
sriracha. Oh, it's a watermelon.
It's the watermelon. But yeah, it's kind of a common thing, and I've tried to research it, because Japan has weird censorship laws. Okay. And there's stuff that you can do and say in a manga that you can't say in the animated form, and like there's lots of weird rules and stuff. So I, for the longest time, was thinking it was on purpose because maybe like they don't want to say the word cancer on television or whatever. Like, but I mean, I couldn't find anything that was like, yeah, that's why this is a thing. But yeah, they love to keep it a mystery. Like, we know she's dying, but that's all we're gonna tell you.
Yeah, I looked it up for this show just particularly because I was like, why won't they say what it is? Because I'm nosy and I want to know what it is. And I couldn't find like any reason why. I think it does work well for this storytelling for this show, but I don't know. But maybe they just didn't want you to like read too much into what her diagnosis is and just focus more on. But still, I Googled it and figured it out anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Kosei wants to help Kaori somehow. He wants to show her everything that she gave to him. So now he's going to play at Nagi's school festival, not just her, and it's like middle schoolers. So Nagi's under a ton of pressure for the piano recital and is pushing herself extra hard. 4 days before the recital, and she's sobbing into the piano at the teacher's house. And I was like, here we go again. Classic. The teacher is like, great, I've got another kid that I've pushed too hard and is upset, and she does something different, and it's really sweet. Nagi's like locked herself in the bathroom, is sobbing. The teacher gets the door open, and her daughter like drag her out, and it's really kind of funny. But the teacher explains that everyone feels afraid and always will be, and that she still feels afraid like once you go on stage. And she goes, but once you're done, you can't imagine life without it. All the pain and all the fear melts away. And that's what I've literally, not to make this about like Alamo Drafthouse hosting, but every time I've trained a host, which is like majority of my life right now, I told them, I was like, I still get stage fright. To this day, I go on stage, and right before I do, I'm nervous. But once you get on there and you start riding that wave, like you can't even remember that you were scared. Yep. And so, I mean, I've grown up in performance and on stages my whole life. So,
oh yeah, and opening night is like one of the like of anything. It's always like the hardest part. It doesn't matter how well rehearsed you are, how because I have a theater background. How well those
you could have ran every rehearsal perfect, but the minute that curtain starts going up.
Oh yeah, it's like what was my line again?
Rather die in that moment, and then you just got to get past that bump, and then everything's fine. But that anxiety you have right when it's it's otherworldly.
Yeah.
And any performer can tell you that. Oh.
And I think that's kind of like a really beautiful thing that this show actually highlights. A lot of romance anime and a lot of really sappy anime, they focus so much more on like, what's the hardcore emotion here?
Yeah.
But this show, despite the fact that it is very sad, and does hit those emotional beats very hard, but it also really does look at like performance from a fairly realistic and grounded standpoint, and how being in that moment, like getting on stage, like what happens? Are you giving in to the fear? Is the fear taking control of the performance? Or are you fighting and working your way through it? And if you are able to cross that hump, like what happens after that? And I do think that especially this later part of the show, because everything up till now, he's been nothing but afraid.
Yeah.
Kosei has let the fear dictate his trajectory. And I think this is kind of like really the turning point where maybe people start telling him the things that he needs to hear, when before there was a lot of beating around the bush. It's more direct at this point.
For sure. Yeah. Ugh. And so a quote I wrote down that I really liked. I think Kosei says it. It's been like 2 weeks since I watched this episode now. But it says, a window into your soul and your heart's beat as one. Music goes deeper than words. And I love that quote because there's that old quote of like, when words fail, music speaks. And there's something about music that can hit you more emotionally than words. And that's why I've always been obsessed with like original score soundtracks like John Williams and Michael Giacchino. I think they're like the masters of hitting you. Like if I still to this day, I mean, it's one of my favorite songs. It's the Up opening theme.
Speaking of sad.
Yeah. But it's one of the most beautiful things. And it's just like a subtle piano and a little bit of strings. And I love Michael Giacchino's work. And John Williams is like the godfather of cinema scores. But I mean, his are strings and like French horns with a little bit of flute. But I mean, it's just so emotional. I don't know. I mean, I love that. I love music for emotional purposes.
Oh, yeah. It can accent everything perfectly.
Yeah. And I think it can. I mean, that's why when James Gunn does films, and he's wanting his characters to have an emotional like reaction to something, he plays music to help them get there faster, but help them get there deeper. It's like a little portal into your soul, like they said, a window into your soul, and it's very true. So Kosei notices Nagi's hand shaking and calms her down, like holds her hand. It's a very sweet moment. It's not creepy. I have a creepy comment right after this, and it shows her like how to relax, and he shows her like his hand shaking, and he's like, we got this, it's fine, we're gonna do this together. And so that's how the episode ends. But my creepy comment is all of them, like from the high school, are going to this middle school for this recital, and they're like freaking out over how many girls there are. And I'm like, these are like juniors in high school going to a middle school. And I am disgusted. But it's creepy. And this whole show does it.
To be fair, I think we lose track of the middle school and high school breakdown of ages and grade levels in Japan. So a lot of people tend to forget that 9th grade is also still middle school.
But they're like juniors. They're not in the same school.
I'm just saying.
It's a 16 or 17-year-old going up to a 13-year-old. And if that was my friend, punch him in the nose. I'd be like, get your head straight. Not for you, buddy.
I just noticed that, there are some times where when I'm watching an anime, I go, oh, that age gap is weird. And then they're like,
it took me out of it. So I was like, oh,
And then they're like, oh, they're in 9th grade and that's considered middle school. And the other person is in their first year of high school. Okay, never mind. It's not.
Yeah, but this was
It's
not a
not
9th
that
grade because they
weird.
say Nagi's age, and I was like, ugh. And they wear their hair in like pigtails with cute little animal like buttons, and I'm like, that's not a 9th grader.
It
9th
also
grader
doesn't.
wouldn't be caught dead with that.
It also doesn't help that sometimes we have high schoolers that are drawn like middle schoolers and middle schoolers that are drawn like adults.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't get it. I don't, but
You know what?
it's a thing.
Animation. Let's
Anime.
stop being creepy
Anime.
with that. Let's stop.
That's the answer. It's anime.
Let's stop being creepy with that. All right. So that was episode 17. Next, we go to episode 18. Hearts come together. I only have a little bit of notes of it because it's a performance episode.
Yes.
And my first note is time for the performance. So here we go. So Kosei starts losing himself in the music while playing with Nagi, but Nagi's attitude and perseverance, she's like, what are you doing? And so she starts keeping up with him, which is what the teacher always knew she would be good for him because just her attitude alone is going to pull Kosei out of it. But so she keeps up with him and wants to rival him. So Nagi wants her brother to be her hero again and fight to rival Kosei. Kosei is playing for Kaori, and like you can see that him and Nagi kind of have it in common that they're doing this for a greater good. They're doing this for a better reason. It's not for themselves. So Watari had Kaori on the phone call the whole time to listen to the performance, and so you see her like pretending to play her violin while listening to it, and it just guts me. And I just love that Watari was so sweet to do that, to like call her and be like, do you want to listen? Do this performance. It's great. Nagi keeps up. It pulls Kosei back into it. They start going like a amazing, like kind of piano duel. It's great. And they're doing this, they're bowing at the end after their performance. And it's my favorite nerdy quote for that Nagi says. She goes, I'm not the Phantom after all. I'm Christine. And I just debuted at the Opera House. And I was like, yes, Nagi! That's because I'm a huge fan of the opera fan, and that's right. She's the Christine.
And you got to find yourself. You have to find yourself in the music.
You don't need to be a backup dancer.
No.
You are the opera. I don't remember what they're the lead. I don't remember what they're called.
And even if you are cast as a background dancer, you embody everything that you have into
you put it all
what
in.
You're doing when you are on that stage, even if you're not at the front. Everything that you do adds to the performance, and the audience can pick up
There's no
weak link.
small piece. There's no small piece. You're all part of a bigger picture. Now I feel like our theater directors.
Right.
Gosh, I can like hear them yelling
so
in my
true.
head.
When you are in performance or theater, choir, music, whatever, you have it in your head that you have to be at the front of the stage and you have to have the loudest line and the dance solo. And yeah, those things are great and they're important and they can help you stand out. But time and time again in my adult life, I have truly seen where sometimes, when the chorus is in sync and they are hitting those steps, or the pianist who might at first glance appear to just be the background of the orchestration, but then like they're feeling themselves, or like Kosei, throughout the whole show, Kosei truly shines when he is not just trying to play to the sheet music.
Yeah.
When he is putting himself into the music.
Into everything. Yeah. And that's what Kaori teaches them. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like he hits that, and it's like you can be in the background and you can be the lowest totem pole of the orchestration, but when you are in it, the audience can feel that and get that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Thank you, theater director Michael.
I went into the wrong field.
It's so true, though. It counts to everything. So Takashi freaks out on Kosei, saying that he played a duet with his little sister and gets really protective of him and is like, "Are you hitting on my sister?" It's a funny moment. But because of that, Takashi now has a fire lit under him to take on Kosei. And Nagi sees him, and I love this little thing that happens with the animation. She sees him as a little kid again who is super passionate. And when he got into the piano, and you see him running down the hallway to go practice. And I was like, that was a really sweet moment that Nagi saw him as like what she wanted to see. So Kosei goes to the hospital to go visit Kaori, and she is up on the roof playing the melodica again with some kids who are also in the hospital. And it's a really sweet moment. And Kosei asks Kaori to play with him one more time. She says she can't even hold the bow, but he begs for one more duet. And he says, I don't know if he says it or she says it, but he says, do you think you can just forget? Like, I think he says it. He's like, you can't just forget like how to do this. Like your body is wired for it. And Kaori says, maybe I'm just greedy, but I want to dream again. Someday we'll waltz together. We just might. We'll see. But that's how that episode is this emotional melodica moment. It's very sweet on the roof, and they're
and he struggled so hard to go and see her, because I mean, I'm sure that we all kind of
we all have our things,
and I'm sure, I know I've personally been there. It's like, why I don't want to go to the hospital. Like the energy is not what I want to feel. The emotions are not what I want to feel.
I skip a lot of funerals for that reason. That I don't
want to surround myself. And when you have established this type of connection like they did, she made him believe in music again.
Yeah.
And now he has to face the fact that the person who made him believe in music again now kind of doesn't believe in music. Like, that's a hard reality.
It's now time for him to carry her rather than her carrying him. Like, it's the give and take.
Yep.
Oh, so that leads us into episode 19, Goodbye Hero, which is just great. Just great. I love it when you see a title right before you watch a show and you're like, I don't want to watch this episode. Episode 20 is where it's going to get me, though. All right. So the doctor warns Kaori that the odds of her surgery to fix her sickness is risky, and her odds aren't great. Her parents look incredibly sad while they're doing this, and that just guts me. And she says she can't give up, and she wants to have the surgery to try and stop what's happening and reverse it.
Yep.
So Kaori and Kosei are practicing through speakerphone. He's at school in the music room, and she's practicing in her hospital room. And then Kaori's parents spot Kosei at the hospital. He says he tried to visit her, but she wasn't in her room. So they go, we know where she is. Here, let's show you. And so they show him that she's in PT and she's working on her strength to play one more time. And it's a really sweet moment. They're like, hey, this is because of you. You've given her a passion to keep trying. And just having a parent tell the kid that, like, oh, this is when I knew it was all going to go downhill for me, because I was like, her parents are being so sweet. They know she did this for him so he can do it for her. And now it's just, So now it's Kosei's turn to give Kaori the bravery. She gave the doubting boy bravery to play on stage again, and now she's trusting in him for her to risk the surgery and play one more time.
Yep.
Ugh. So Tsubaki comes over and brings Kosei a snack, since he basically has stayed up all night playing at his house, because she's his neighbor. And she says the judges are going to dock him for his hair. It's a sweet moment. I love Tsubaki and Kosei. And going to dock him for his hair. So she starts giving him a haircut while he studies sheet music. And it's what she used to do to him as a kid, because he has an absent father and his mother was kind of horrible. But kind of horrible. And, So Emmy and Kosei, where am I at? Oh, and Kosei, I just spelled it wrong. Emmy and Kosei are sitting and eating an egg sandwich outside the competition room. Now they're at the competition. And you can just kind of see this friendship that's formed between them ever since Kosei is like came back into the music world and given life again. And these people that he inspired to play are now like taking care of him and they're friends. And it's such a sweet, full moment. And they're eating an egg sandwich. And then Takashi comes over and is like, what are y'all doing? And he's just like, you want an egg sandwich? And so he sits down and eats an egg sandwich, and they all start bonding over sandwiches and tea and what they're going to bring to the next one. And it's just so sweet. They just all realize like, hey, they're rivals, but they're the only three people that get each other. And they just forget about their rivalry for a bit and are just kids with a common bond for their piano. And I was just like, this reminds me of band and all my sweet band nerd friends. And that was us. Like we were like some of my best friends in high school that have stuck with me through years. We were all in band together and theater together. And those are your people, your nerd people. So Takashi is called to go and perform, and he wants to hit them with a sick burn. Why did I write it like that? It must have been like 2 a.m. when I was taking notes. But he says he'll say it with music. Takashi feels calm for like the first time, and it's this sweet moment. He's just kind of looking at it. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna like not insult them now, like being a bully. I'm just gonna, square up with them via music as a rivalry, but because I want to keep this friendship. And I was like, this is just where I'm just emotionally damaged. So the quote I have, it's not just friends that support each other. The rival that gets under your skin, it's priceless. They help each other even when they want to punch each other. And so this is Kosei's piano teacher saying this, and just like the healthy rivalry that they have. So Takashi starts playing. He's laying out all of his emotions with Emi and Kosei on the piano. He says he's lucky to have them. And then Nagi says, and just like that, my hero returns, as she's watching her big brother play. And it's his best performance yet, the judge says. And this is where I started to cry. He says, he's bowing on stage. He goes, was I able to reach them with my music like you guys do? Whenever they say that, it's so painful. And then the episode, just to put some salt in that painful wound, ends with an image of all three of them as kids again at their like first piano recital. And that's how that episode ends. And it just kind of hurts you and bruises you and gets you ready for the absolute pummeling that episode 20 is going to give you.
And I was pleasantly surprised by how much I personally ended up liking Takashi.
Yes.
And the relationship that Kosei and Nagi end up having is really great, because Kosei, I think, for the first time is seeing things from a different perspective than his own. And she's the bridge between the rivalry.
Yeah.
And she allows the rivals to have like a connection that makes them want to be better. And I think that
she ignited that fire and that friendship.
And so often we think of like rivalries as like a bad thing. It's like, oh, I just have to be better than that person because I have to win. And it's like, yeah, like winning is great and all, but there's also something healthy in a rivalry where in any field that you're in, like you're both fueling each other to like put everything that you have out in the forefront, because when you don't have something or somebody to challenge you, you become complacent. And especially with Kosei and all of his fear and his trauma, and he loves music, but he's afraid to do music, and he doesn't have anything pushing him, and now all of a sudden he has this healthy rivalry. He has this amazing girl in his life who's ignited a spark in him. And he now has all these pieces that he didn't have before that are helping connect the dots and opening the path to him that he needed, but didn't know how to get.
That's so well put. Rivalry is good. You don't want to ever be complacent. You want to keep moving. And oh, it's so good. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I ready?
I mean, wait. Am I ready? Is one ever ready for like the last hurdle of this show? Absolutely not.
So this is the last episode we'll cover in this episode. It's episode 20, Hand in Hand. And then Michael and I will talk next week about even more emotional damage of the last two episodes. But this is the one. This is the one that I sent Michael and Lauren a picture of me just sobbing, like tears running down my face, snot everywhere. And you'll know why as soon as I start talking about it. And I'm sure whoever's listening has watched it, but this is the worst one for me.
Yeah.
And I think because it was a surprise thing. Like, I know everything else that was coming, they built it up for me, but the way they just brutally, metaphorically show what's happening, just okay. So we start with a flashback to when Tsubaki and Kosei are kids, and she has a cold, and Kosei's encouraging her to drink lemonade for vitamin C, and is like very sweetly taking care of her. Anytime you give me a Tsubaki and Kosei flashback, I'm emotional. So this was not a great start. Tsubaki tells Kosei her good grades, wants to go tell Kosei her good grades. We're back in present time, but he's not in the music room. It looks like Kosei goes to another school now, but maybe not. His uniform looks different. I don't know. There's that whole thing where he might go to music school. But Watsuri forces Kosei to go with him to visit Kaori. Kosei says he feels like a third wheel around Kaori and Watsuri, but I mean, that's been like the whole episode, the whole show. So I wrote this before I knew. I said, oh no, not the sad cat story again. So we get the actual, we talked about it in a past episode. We never saw it, but the reason why Kosei always looks at the black cats on the street is because he had a cat, but that cat scratched his piano hand, and so his mom just like threw it out on the street and it broke him. He was like, oh, we'll get into it. So Kosei brought home the cat and is convincing his mom to let him keep her. And then we know what just happened. So it's baby Tsubaki and baby Kosei again. And Kosei's in this playground in this like little tunnel just sobbing, and it's raining. So baby Tsubaki comes up and gives Kosei some lemonade because he's wet and it's cold. He says he was looking everywhere for Chelsea the cat, and he's afraid she'll die out in the cold. He says he does feel like his mom's puppet, and sweet Tsubaki's just trying to comfort him because I mean they're like 5 right now. So Kosei and Tsubaki are, I mean, I really summed that up really shortly, but it's like a solid 5-minute scene of just him feeling such empathy for this cat and wanting to care for it, and it's out there and I just like holding Peggy, my cat, during this, and I'm just eyes are watering right now. Ending is worse.
Yeah, much worse.
Kosei, flashback to present time. Kosei and Tsubaki are walking to see Kaori, but then they see Watsuri. So Kosei says he thinks it's going to rain, so they'll go visit another day. And so it does end up raining, and Kosei is like, I'm gonna go get us some lemonades. Tsubaki gets really snappy at Kosei and kind of like insults him, saying next to Watsuri, it's really heartbreaking, girls won't even see him, and that Kaori likes Watsuri. She thinks that Kosei has never seen her as a girl, and even though they know each other, he can't see how she feels. And so she's kind of ranting. They're standing there drinking their lemonades in the rain, and then she goes, maybe you should fall in love with me instead. It hurts if you've ever liked someone that doesn't like you back because they like someone else.
And she was there the whole time too, through everything. Everything.
So I wrote at a girl for finally saying it out loud because that's hard enough.
Yes.
But I feel
even
so bad
though
for
she
her.
knows.
Yeah.
Even though she knows.
She opened herself up for heartbreak, and it's like, you gotta do it. But this is my favorite moment. She just panics after saying all of her emotions, kicks him in the shins. And then she goes, see, Kosei, that's what truth sounds like.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is exactly how I deal with my crushes. If I like you, I'm
gonna kick you in the shin.
I'm gonna punch you. I'm gonna make fun of
you in
you
the shin
because I don't know how to flirt. So Sato is trying to get Kosei to focus because the finals are coming soon. Kaori calls Kosei and she says she's releasing him from visiting duties because she wants him to practice more and finals are around the corner. Kosei says, no, I'm still going to stop by to see you. I don't care about the time. I want to see you. Kosei finally gets the nerve then to tell, so he's going to go visit. And so him and Watari are going and they're walking up the stairs and he's telling Watari, hey, I like Kaori. And he just laughs because Watari, he might be a dumb serial dater. He's a great friend though. And he goes, yeah, of course you do. And he's like, I've been like hiding this secret this whole time because you liked her. And you're like, yeah, she's a great girl to like. And I was like, that's why you gotta say your emotions. Here we go. So they walk up, they're going to the door. And they see nurses running, and they're running into Kaori's room. And she is having a seizure, a pretty bad seizure. And then she starts to code, which if you don't know what that means, her heart's stopping, and it's not great. Her hand then goes limp and falls, and they're like, boys, you need to go home. Boys, you need to go home. You can't be here. So they're leaving. They're traumatized. You're upset because you just saw this, and then you hear, and because it's still raining, you hear a car screeching, and you hear it hit something, and the cat that we saw.
I'm glad I have tissues on this desk.
Oh my gosh. The cat that we saw gets hit by a car, and we see it, and Kosei runs, picks up the cat, and runs and bangs on an animal hospital to get them to open the door. And he's like, this cat, you've got to save this cat. There's blood on his hands. He's waiting there. And then the doctors say, there's nothing we could have done. The injuries for that car wreck are too extensive, and the cat dies. This is when I am not okay.
Yeah.
My notes say, I hate this show. I don't want to watch this show. It's all caps. My last bit of notes they're all caps. I'm really upset. I'm very monotone right now because I'm trying to hold it together. But it is a metaphor for, I mean, you see that it's a metaphor for Kaori. And that was like his Chelsea the cat. That was his love. And that's how that episode ends. That's how this week's episode ends. And I'm upset.
So I know that it's very hard to watch, and it brings up a lot of emotions. And I know it's so easy to turn around and be like, I hate this show because it's like it's showing me
really
these things.
It's really well done though, but I hate this show.
And I think that the honesty that the show portrays, I know a lot of us use entertainment, anime, movies, video games, music, whatever. We use it as a means of escape. And I think so often we get stuck in that escape that it almost makes us numb to real things. And sometimes to have something like a show like, say, Your Lie in April, that like really holds the magnifying glass up to maybe things that we've refused to acknowledge or don't want to feel sometimes, things that we're afraid of.
Couldn't
and it brings those
kid and not a cat? Like I would have been okay with the kid and not a cat.
Well, but it's like I get it. 100. I'm the same way. Like, does the dog die in the end.com? Like, like I need to know, but like I also understand like the parallels to like his childhood and like the future and loss and everything. And like, yes, like it hurts and it sucks and it's painful because you're just like, I just want him to be happy. This poor this poor boy has fought and tried, like everything up to like from his mom up to the beginning of the show. He was complacent because when you're complacent, you can't be disappointed. When you're complacent, you can't be hurt. If you just sit there and you hide in your room and you hold the things that you love away from you at a distance, you can't be hurt. And this is the point in the story where he has to learn that you're gonna be hurt when you step out of those boundaries, when you step out of your room. And it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you balance the hurt with the joy that you have in the world? Because you're never going to have the joy if you're complacent, but you have to learn how to navigate the pain.
And thanks for coming to church with me and Michael. I'll be here every Sunday. Oh, it's such a pretty show. And because of those reasons you told us not to be complacent is why I love action, because I'm like, yeah, you're the Giants. I don't want to feel.
But except, the fact that, we know it's coming this fall in My Hero. And, if you're reading My Hero.
To accept it's true. You know who's not going to die? All Might.
I hope not.
All Might will not die.
I'm
ever.
He better not. That will not be kosher ever.
He's totally going to. You know he will. And I can't.
And I won't be okay. And I won't be okay.
He's my boy.
Oh my God. Hi.
Where did she appear from?
I don't ever know. I don't.
She said, Father, it's my turn to talk.
Yeah. You want to tell us about your lie in April?
She says, I feel nothing.
Yeah. I don't have a skull or bones. That's what she says. That's what she says.
I feel nothing but run, jump.
No, not a single brain cell in that head, let me tell you.
Oh, she's so pretty, but nothing upstairs. Lights aren't on.
Nope.
And when you try and cuddle her, I had her in a full grapple this weekend. I had the legs over her back legs, and I was like, "You will love me." And she just like looked at me and then just like headbutted, and I was like, "All right, you win." Oh, all right. So next week, Michael's going to be our guest host again.
Yes.
We'll cover episode 21 and 22. They're the last two episodes of the show.
Oh.
And if you think it's going to get better.
Nope. Sure as fuck doesn't. Sure as heck doesn't.
You're just as bad as Lauren.
I made it in almost an entire episode without a single bad word. I'm so sorry.
Just as bad as Lauren. Look, you're just the perfect fit in our host. So next week we're gonna cover snow and spring wind, and we're giving you your warnings now to bring tissues. You know what's coming. We know it's coming. I have the same box.
Yay! I need to have them closer to me for next episode.
So we love anime and we love you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Gateway Anime Podcast with Bridget and Lauren. Please remember to like, subscribe, and download our episodes. Remember, we also have a Patreon, so if you want to suggest shows for us to watch, make sure you go visit us. Special thank you to Marjorie McClendon for our artwork and designs, and Drew Griffith for all of our music. We hope to see you again next week.